always try to tell herself that it is not a surprise, but yes, it is a surprise. The surprise part is actually really just like, it's been only like a year. For QQ, it took us like a much longer time. For us, it took us like 433 days to get to 100 million. I think that's kind of like a history also. So I think we're surprised by the speed of like and the growth, and not so much about the part that we finally reached like 200 million today.
Well, WeChat has more users outside China than in China. So where do you see that going? Is that going to continue on that kind of curve with the popularity so strong outside China? I think it's one of the few really successful tech products from a startup from China to go global so fast. What's the long-term outlook for that?
Well, I think we're definitely spending a lot of efforts now trying to bring WeChat, the products to international markets. And for guys like based in Hong Kong, you've probably seen that like we have like crazy TVCs like bus bodies and everything. We just launched something in Taiwan as well too last week, and it was pretty well received. And we expect like to see that we'll be doing very similar thing like around the world, basically. But unfortunately, I cannot disclose like numbers or stuff, so please don't ask me numbers. But I can tell you that like we are really growing pretty fast, like not just in Hong Kong and Taiwan, but actually around the world. Our growth numbers is actually pretty phenomenal this time.
How many people here in this audience are using WeChat? Let's see a show of hands. Just about everybody. So I was curious about why you have a different strategy in India for WeChat. You've actually acquired a company there that's with a different brand name that's popularizing WeChat for India. So why is it different there?
The question was not on the list. That's fine.
We believe it's fun.
It's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm prepared. It's actually not exactly like a different strategy per se, actually. So I know you're going to ask the other question, so I'm just going to address this one now. So started 5 years ago, we actually, when we start first building our international business, very typical for a Chinese internet company. What do? M&A. Okay. You go around Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, we cannot do that. But around the world, like you do a lot of M&A deals, and then you invest into the local companies. And then because we are also seeing ourselves as a technology company, so we invest and try to actually help the local company to become the top companies. Pretty straightforward. Everyone will do the same thing. Alibaba, Baidu is doing the same thing as well too. So it's not just like Tencent. The difference is, and then after that, you go through stages, right? When you go to international, we have done that for a few years, and then we've realized that there are not actually that many companies that we can buy, or acquire, or to invest, right? So then do what? Then you start doing local operations. So I think for India. We actually invested into India a long time ago, like 4 years or 5 years ago. Actually, it was actually one of the first, kind of like a JV structure companies that we set up. And now, because of WeChat, and we're also getting a little bit more popular in India, so we decided to say, hey, why don't we just build Tencent in India and just do our own stuff.
So I think if I talk to a number of entrepreneurs in mainland China, they complain about Tencent actually, because Tencent is so big and it's become so popular, and you're absorbing so much space that they say there's no room for startups to grow, to catch hold. So what do you say to these companies? Is it true that there's no room for startups to catch hold because Tencent has grabbed so much of the market?
Wouldn't say so. I mean, two reasons. So number one is started about 2 years ago. We basically made our product open platform. So why do you do that? Just like Facebook, just like any other social network out there. The reason why you make something open is to enable other companies. So if you look at our open platform today in China, there are like thousands and like thousands of companies actually living, right? Make their business like dollars like on our platform, right? So we actually enable a lot of these startup companies. The second part is like as a big company in China, we also have multiple funds. We play VC role as well too. We invest a lot as well too, both outside of China and inside of China. So we have we actually dedicated over like $100 million last year just to invest into like local startups. So we do the same thing, and we do that outside of China as well too. Not to name companies, we do that in Hong Kong as well.
Can you name some Hong Kong companies? You cannot name some Hong Kong companies. But I think in Vietnam, you invested in a Vietnamese company. VNG? Was it VNG?
You said that, yes.
I said that. So tell me, how was WeChat developed? What was the thinking behind WeChat in developing this product, this really innovative product that's caught on like wildfire? How did it happen internally?
So the true story is, nobody really knows that there is a WeChat product until that the team released the product and hit almost like 10 million or something like users in China. It just happens. It's part of the kind of the innovation culture that we have. Because you can imagine like as big as Tencent with like so many different units, so many different like products. So we kind of like how do we? So like her say that big company get bigger and bigger and get slower and slower. The way that we try to stop being slow is actually we let a lot of these guys to actually do things like, hey, just like the old Google days, like 20% innovation project, whatever that creativity that you can come with. So we actually have that kind of environment also in Tencent. So we allow a lot of these guys to actually do things and try to, and sometimes we even have like competing products. I can tell you that internally we had probably like a handful of WeChat. We call it WeChat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see which one actually, wins the battle. I think that's really what we're trying to do. And somehow this guy called WeChat, got picked up by the China market, and then got more, support from management, and then we decided to take it go international. That's how it worked.
So you changed the name of the product fairly early on, and why did you do that?
Well, that's the easiest question to answer because no one can pronounce Weixin, and no one can actually spell Weixin. I cannot even do it myself. So with that, to go international, we have to have something more simple. So we actually go through a lot of names, but somehow we pick up this WeChat. So and it turns out, I think, based on a lot of the user groups that we've done, and it turns out a lot of people even outside of China, they think it's a pretty easy name to remember.
It's a great international name.